Hello there. So it's official. A Keir Starmer-led Labour government would follow Nicola Sturgeon's lead on gender issues. Now, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe, click the little bell, select all, and then like and comment below. If a Keir Starmer-led Labour Party gets into power, then Nicola Sturgeon will have managed to take on the UK Constitution and win, because the Labour leader has pledged to change the law in England and Wales to match the new gender laws in Scotland. And a report by a group at Queen's University, Belfast, commissioned by Sinn Féin politician Conor Murphy when he was Stormont's finance minister, has said that reform of gender recognition law in Northern Ireland would have a significant positive impact. So expect to see changes there too. So within the next few years, the whole UK will probably be subject to these new laws. And as I said yesterday, Spain is well on the way down the same route as well. So I would expect the EU as a whole to be doing the same shortly. Now, there has been talk that Rishi Sunak will use a 1998 Scotland Act Section 35 order to deny the newly passed SNP legislation from getting royal assent. But from what the Labour leader has said, all that will do is delay it for a couple of years until Starmer gets into number 10. Now, the SNP pushing through these laws in Holyrood, where the Scottish Labour Party was whipped into supporting it, has caused a lot of anger in Scotland. But it looks like Labour wants to use an almost certain landslide victory at the next general election to get this policy through in England and Wales, however much division it would cause in the end when people cotton on to the many concerning issues that surround this. Now, most people don't read party election manifestos, so I think that in expectation of an easy win, the next Labour document will contain many more radical left policies, both explicit and implied, surrounding things like wealth redistribution, not just within the UK, but also globally. The new Climate Change Reparations Fund springs to mind. I would also expect to see a repeat of the 2019 Corbyn manifesto, promising to widen the voting franchise out to anyone from anywhere who is over 16 and is legally resident in the UK when the elections occur. This is on top of taking on Gordon Brown's ideas for the de facto dismantling of the UK and the breaking up of England into bite-sized chunks via his plans for extreme devolution. The electorate is voting itself left, right, via the two-party state into the Build Back Better Great Reset, where anyone can self-identify to be whatever and whoever they like, with only minority rights being respected, and where science and true equality across the nation is a thing of the past. And I wonder how many gender tourists we'll be getting. And I do sometimes wonder if the general public will ever catch on to what's really happening. Or are they really happy and supportive of all of this stuff? Now, if they're not happy, then Starmer and Sturgeon might get a rude awakening at the next general election. Well, here's a bit of welcome news, although I would have liked to have seen much more. The UK government is putting just over £1 billion extra into the defence budget next year, as it has now come round to thinking that maybe this isn't the right time to try and lop more bits off of our armed forces while a war rages in Europe. Now, according to the Telegraph, to keep pace with inflation, the already rising MOD budget would need to increase by an extra 1.5 billion quid to take it from 48.6 billion to 50.1 billion. So anything less than that £1.5 billion increase would be a real terms cut on the previously promised increases. And the full £1.5 billion would only be a real terms standing still. Now, despite this being no more than an inflation-plugging defence budget boost, it does represent a bit of a victory for the Defence Secretary Ben Wallace. But in my view, we should be prioritising our defence much more. These are very dangerous times, brought about mainly by the willing political blindness over decades of our leaders. And it's not just the Russia-Ukraine business. We now have the two vast armies of China and India in a face-off across their border. So the government is going to push ahead with its plans to try and get the early retired over 50s back into work. These are generally the older workers who worked out that they had sufficient savings to opt out for the easy life, or were made redundant and given a hefty wedge to get out of the workforce. And I suspect that many might have been between jobs and found that ageism prevented them getting another job anyway, especially if they don't tick all those all-important gender, minority and ethnicity boxes. Now the plan is to offer the early retirees the chance of a free finance MOT in the face of a cost of living crisis that they might not have factored in. That is, to show them that their savings will run out before they pass on, therefore they need to work for a few more years to build up more savings. But if they do try to re-enter the workplace after a significant period of inactivity, they will almost certainly face ageism and be looking at a much reduced salary. And then there's the issue of what the government does with the data from all these financial health MOTs. New tweaks to the tax system to make early retirement less attractive maybe, or to even force people to stay in work until they're 70. Or do you really believe this is all about making sure people are looked after in their later years? Anyway, why would people who've built up a sizable pension pot continue working if to do so would mean them incurring swinging tax bills? But the biggest point really is to get to retire with your health intact. Why work yourself until you break first? Talk about a clean cut. According to reports, King Charles has thrown his brother Prince Andrew out of Buckingham Palace because of the Epstein affair, and the ejection means that Prince Andrew can no longer use the palace as his postal address, nor use it for any business purposes. And according to The Sun, an unnamed source said, "Any presence at the palace is officially over. The king has made it clear, he isn't a working royal, he's on his own." This comes in the wake of Andrew having his 24-hour-a-day, £3 million a year close protection stripped away by the Home Office, as well as having his colonelcy of the Grenadier Guards taken away and given to the Queen Consort Camilla. Not a good set of crimbo prezzies for our Andrew then. And finally, when subscribing, please don't forget to press that little bell and also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. And thank you all so much for taking the time to watch the show.